how long does the industry take to recover from this? This is, FTX was got to be one of the biggest poster childs of crypto at the moment. They're naming stadiums after them. They're sponsoring Formula One. They're on every sports, advertisement. They were in the face of everyone. And unfortunately, I sit there and look at this now and go, it's lived up to everything that the negative people against crypto wanted. It's a scam. It's shown everybody in retail it's a scam. So how do we recover from this, do you think? Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Blockcast with Simon and Will. This week there is nothing else we can talk about but FTX, I'd say. Will, how are you feeling? What are you thinking at the moment?
What a crazy week! Last week, if you asked me, I'd have said the crypto prices had at least reached a floor, and then this crazy FTX drama happens, and and everything goes down the shitter. And the prices, I think I forget exactly how much the prices dropped in crypto, but we're down to $17,000, and who knows how long we'll hold that level? Who knows whether it'll go up or down? But Simon, I'm really curious, what exactly happened?
What happened? Yeah. So I mean, there's obviously lots of speculation, but it's starting to come a bit to light now. Is that Alameda, the hedge fund company, the trading company that SBF kind of was involved with as well, and FTX got themselves in a lot of trouble. And it kind of goes back to basically around Luna and 3 Arrows Capital kind of collapsed, because I think Alameda lost a lot of money when 3 Arrows Capital collapsed. And probably Alameda should have gone down as well. They probably should have become bankrupt. But it looks like it's come out now that Sam Bankman-Fried at FTX there, rather than letting that part of his company just die off, which because hedge funds die, hedge funds do lose money. He lent them his customers on FTX money. So, I'm pretty sure in most places that's considered fraud, because you cannot use your customers' funds to go fund other areas of the business. So, a lot of people are talking this is fraud. This is jail time for SBF. But who really knows what's going on? But what it basically caused then is that they didn't have the money, and so CZ Binance obviously kind of got word of this to a degree. He kind of heard through his channels that FTX was very exposed. They didn't have the ability to back up all their assets on their exchange, and so maybe he did it on purpose to a degree. He could have done it more silently, but I think maybe he was partly doing two things. He was wanting to protect his business, Binance, because they had a rather large exposure to the FTT token. And maybe he also wanted to take down one of his biggest rivals. So when he tweeted out that he was liquidating all his FTT tokens, everybody who had question marks and were thinking maybe FTX is not as solvent as they were, well, it triggered a bank run, didn't it? So everyone's going, what does Binance know that we don't know? Triggered a bank run. Everyone started pulling their funds, and as it turns out, no, FTX did not have all the funds there. They gambled away their customers' money.
See, I've been wondering about that. In that, why did Binance tweet about? Why did they tweet it? I was thinking to myself, it's obviously counterproductive. If they want to get rid of this volume of FTX, why would they tell everybody they're dumping it? Because obviously that's going to affect the price. And I appreciate the two reasons that you gave, but I think another reason was to sort of wash Binance's hands. He kind of wanted to say that Binance had nothing to do with this. This is completely FTX's business. And I think they were just trying to be transparent and protect Binance's brand. What do you think?
Yeah, there's definitely got to be an element of that. They had $2 billion something other of FTT token on their balance sheets. And so obviously that's a big risk that CZ saw. So he wanted to offload that. But, the way he did, as you say, he could have done it in a much quieter manner. Which makes a lot of people think that this was a targeted takedown by him as well. He knew what he was doing to a degree. He knew the kind of hysteria that he would trigger by doing that tweet. So I think it's a bit of both. I think he was protecting Binance because of the liability he had holding the FTT token, but I think it was also a bit of a targeted takedown. And you could see that when so quickly it seemed that Binance were coming in to be the savior and potentially bailing out FTX. it seemed like, oh, that was a real gangster style move to come in and take them down and then buy them out. But obviously, once he looked under the covers, he's gone, oh, geez, I'm not taking on that liability.
Because there was a bit of that. So first, he announces that he's selling off FTT tokens, and then they have this tiff on Twitter, and then the price starts plummeting, and then he goes, well, I think I'll buy it, and then he goes, lol, maybe not. So that was the strangest. That's such a strange, yeah.
Well, I don't think CZ knew how bad it was. I don't think he knew how underfunded FTX was. They're talking about $8 billion of unfunded liabilities that they have there. So, CZ was like, and we can't take that on. Nobody can take that on. So CZ couldn't take that on. There's no one in crypto that could. So it was clear after that, when he said, no, we're not going ahead with this buyout, bankruptcy was the only answer.
And it's bloody crazy because if I understand it correctly, FTX Exchange starts off, it's just a small exchange. It mints its own token, FTT, and Alameda Research, owned by the same group of people, buys FTT token on the cheap. And then FTX buys up FTT, buys up the price, meaning that now Alameda's treasury is extremely valuable, right? And then Alameda uses its FTT tokens to borrow real collateral from FTX, so Ethereum, Bitcoin, everything else that's actually worth money. And now, and those are user deposits, which is the craziest thing in the world, right?
Yeah, basically. So I think they started out obviously not using user deposits. It was a hedge fund, and it was trading with people's money who were investors. But when we had the big price collapses in the middle of the year, all of their trading and all their aggressive investments were failing on them. So effectively, they should have gone bankrupt then, by all accounts. But SBF saved them, but he didn't save them with actual money. He saved them with customer funds, and that's how we've gotten to where we are. Is that they obviously the market hasn't gone better, so they haven't recovered. And Alameda just seem to obviously lose more money in the process of being given this gift of money from FTX. They've still lost it all. And yeah, here we are. And I guess here's the thing: how long does the industry take to recover from this? This is FTX was got to be one of the biggest poster childs of crypto at the moment. They're naming stadiums after them. They're sponsoring Formula One. They're on every sports, advertisement. They were in the face of everyone. And unfortunately, I sit there and look at this now and going, it's lived up to everything that the negative people against crypto wanted. It's a scam. It's shown everybody in retail it's a scam. So how do we recover from this, do you think?
Yeah, that's a really good question. In terms of recovering, it's funny. Crypto has a really short memory in terms of price. So before we know it, I bet you Bitcoin is going to be way up there, above 60,000, above 70,000. Who knows how high it's going to go? But not only that, I think this is the beauty of crypto in that it's there's so much money flowing in there, but then the evolution happens so quickly. Like FTX is started in 2019, and that's not very old. Climbed up very quickly through whatever business and whatever deals was doing in the background, and like that, it crashed. But meanwhile, all of these decentralized exchanges have also been coming up. And so it's just this beautiful playground that allows evolution to happen. It's Mother Nature just picking survival of the fittest. So FTX is down, and it was great until it wasn't. So who knows how long all of these other big exchanges are going to last. But meanwhile, all of these small DEXs have been growing, and the interface has been improving, the speed is getting better. I have a feeling that at some point, major exchanges are just going to be on-ramps. So I have my USD, I'm going to put it in Binance or some other exchange. I'm going to get Bitcoin, and I'm going to go straight to a DEX. And that's where I'm going to do all of my trading.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that. I think we got to a point where, we forgot the ethos of crypto, which was, trustlessness. We're supposed to trust the blockchain. But I guess in our hype and enthusiasm, and I guess marketing played a part in it, we started trusting again. We started trusting these big exchanges. They seem to have all the right things going for them. They had, these figures who seem to be, really, interesting for us. SBF was, very much so held on a pedestal by many people. So we started trusting again. And let's face it, like the user experience that these centralized exchanges tends to be better than the decentralized ones. So that gap is closing. But yeah, we forgot that initial ethos. You know, they're not your keys, not your wallet. Stop getting shouted from the tops, you know, of every mountain to everybody that gets into crypto. And even I myself, I used to tell people, you know, if you're just starting out, staying on the big exchanges is probably safer than taking self-custody, because taking self-custody is something that people aren't used to. And it's a friction to getting people into the space, because people go, what the hell is this private key? I don't understand it. I understand emails and passwords. That's what they understood, which is why the centralized exchanges were a great starting point. But I think now we've got to go back to, well, no, we've got to go back to self-custody is the first point of call coming into crypto. And I guess the challenge I see with that going forward is that retail has been scared away. Retail is what, you know, really drives a lot of the booms. And even institutions have been scared away. Like, you know, I remember they're talking about, like, you know, some pension funds from Canada was in FTX. They've lost all their money. What institutions are now going to come back into the space when they see just this blatant scamming and fraud going on? So I think the industry is taking a huge hit here. And I don't think we're going to know the real ramifications and how long it could take for another bull run to go, because, you know, the Fed pivot may not be enough anymore, because there's no one wanting to come into the space anymore. And the price doesn't go up unless you get more people actually interested in wanting to use the space. And we've lost the easy entry for people now. You just can't tell people just leave it on exchanges, because it's not the case anymore. It's a tough one.
Yeah, that's a great point, because that's what I've always told my friends. Just jump on an exchange. You can trust the big exchanges, and it turns out that you can't. So yeah, and I was reading today that there's I think what's it called, proof of assets or something like that that's coming out.
Proof of reserves is kind of the big term that all the exchanges are doing now.
That's a big one, and, you know, who knows? Let's see if that helps us gain more trust in them. Although really the whole system should be trustless, and like you said, it's all about decreasing that gap. And
sorry, I was just going to say it's not just proof of reserves though that's important. I mean, it is a good thing to show, hey, look, we do have a large amount of assets in our possession on these wallets. But it's the liabilities, you know. Yeah, okay, you say you've got, you know, 10,000 Bitcoin, but how many Bitcoin does your book say that you owe? That's gonna kind of be. But I guess that people will set up things to monitor those addresses. If they're announcing which addresses they have as their reserves, people can monitor that, and if they see it going somewhere different, hopefully that might flag up to, you know, some really clever people in crypto to go, hang on, they're doing something dodgy here. But proof of reserves is great. It's a great way going forward. But that's only enforced by regulation at the end of the day. So exchanges could make stuff up. There's nothing forcing them to do this yet. They're doing it by choice at the moment.
You're right. So it still boils down to trust us when it comes to exchanges, and really that's where we really want to move away from that, and want to go to a place where you don't have to trust us. Just look at the code and you can trust that. And with that, I guess we've come to the end of another episode.
Yeah, sure, mate. I think this is a case of, I don't think we've seen the aftermath of this yet. I think there's going to be more pain to come, and who knows how long it could take the industry to turn around a bit, because I think we've taken a real hurting here. Retail are scared, institutions are now scared, and yeah, it just wasn't good for crypto at all.
That's it. Well, let's see how it goes.